So the next thing we're going to talk about is remixing and genealogy hierarchy, which has to do with publishing your creations, saving your creations. So just to show how it works, I'm going to start with a new game scene, and I'm just going to make a little thing. I'm just going to go into sculpt mode, and there's a thing that I made. I select it, save it as a new creation. I'll say it's a sculpture, and I'll just call it thing. Now I'm going to exit out of here. I'll save this creation. Let's call it my creation, the default title. So I have my scene that I started working on, and then I have my thing that I saved as a separate sculpture. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to edit my thing, and when I'm editing this object, rather than actually just scoping in, I could take it and clone it, move it around, stick that there, and maybe I'll just turn that darker red. So I've made that change to my thing, and now I'm going to leave and save. And now I'll go back to my creation, edit here. I'll go into update mode. It's telling me that there's something to update. My thing has been updated. So I can say update now. You can also say auto update if you know you're going to be working on something all the time and you don't want to have to tell it every time. Then it'll just do it automatically. You will have to prompt it, but you won't have to go in here and check this. It'll just say this thing has been updated. But right now, I'll just say update now. Now it's done. And now my thing has changed according to what I made, the changes I made to it in its independent save. So that is something to know about genealogy. I'm going to exit out of here, save that change that I made there. And now if I look at my creation and I go over here and I look at the genealogy, it contains the thing. And if I look at the thing and I look at its genealogy, it has no contents because it was made from scratch. It was used in my creation. Now, let's say that I wanted to make some changes to my creation, but I wanted to save an original version. And as I was saying before about paintings, if you have a painting and you're going to merge it, you should always, always have the original version saved. And so rather than editing it, I'm going to remix. And now I have a remix of my thing, creation, and, sorry, it's the creation featuring a thing. It's not the thing itself. I'm just going to make some clones, and I'll make one really, really huge. And this is automatically grouped because of the fact that it was created as saved as a separate creation. That groups things automatically, even if you haven't grouped it manually, but you can ungroup it. Or if you don't want to ungroup it, you can scope in, and then I could say I'm just going to make this one thing glow a whole bunch. Now I'll exit and save. And now, oops, I didn't do it right. So actually I'm going to do a quick save. You can do this through exiting. You have to say what sort of creation this is. So I'm just going to call it a game scene, even though it's not really a game. And it's a remix. I'll just let it keep the same title. And now I'll exit. And so here's my original creation, and here's my remix. And now, however many changes I make to the remix, the original will stay intact. And I'll always have that, unless I go and change that separately. If I go in here and I look at the genealogy, it tells me that the thing went into it, and it doesn't actually say in here that it's a remix because it's my own remix, But if it's a remix from someone else, it would say, by Pooka and one other creator, and then if you went over to the site, it would actually say the name of the other person. But it doesn't mention that when it's your own remixes, because it just counts as a new iteration. If I go back to my creation now and look at the genealogy there, and I say, and it says used in nothing but remixes, it's used in the remix of my creation. Now if I go back to my original thing, and I go and I make another edit to it, like I say I want this piece to glow, I exit out and I save. Now I've changed my original thing. Now if I go into my creation, we know that that's going to ask if I want to update the thing, because we already tried that. If we go into the remix, it also asks me if I want an update. And so I will say update now. And you'll notice that in the clone of the thing where I made the darker piece glow, it still also is glowing. So it not only updates the thing that I brought in here, but it also keeps changes that I made to clones of that thing in my previous save. This is a really good alternative to live cloning, and I actually prefer it because when you live clone something, you're kind of locked into all of those pieces being cloned, and of course you can always delete them and clone again later without the live cloning. But I actually really prefer to save objects independently, and if I decided that I wanted this really super glowing thing to be saved, I can still take that and save it as its own separate creation, and then it will become independent from the other things that have gone into this level. So it's important to know about update mode. It's up here, it's in the modes category. Right now there's nothing to update. You get that little prompt here when there is something. I really like this way of working where you have individual objects that you can go and edit. If I select this, I can go now and edit the source. And it's asking me if I want to save the changes that I made to that creation. I won't save. But now I'm back at thing. And I could say that that was too much brightness, so I'm just going to bring it down. And save it and leave. It's a little bit hard to get used to at first, but it's a really good way of working. So now if I go into either of these, even if I go back to the original my creation, it sees the changes that I made to the thing that were made through the remix, but to the original thing creation, asks me if I want to update, and I can say I'll update now. If I decide I don't like that, I can just undo it, or I could leave without saving. If I go back to the thing, and I'm like, you know, I didn't really like the last changes that I made, it does keep a record of the last few releases. It's not indefinite, it only keeps a few copies, and that's part of why it's really important to remix when you make drastic changes or that, you know, might really mess something up if it goes wrong, or if you're making a whole lot of changes. You can also save things online, and that's a good way of making backups. I can't do this right now because the beta has actually ended, but if I were going to try and save something online to make a backup copy, I would go in here, I would press options, and I would choose to save a version. And of course these are grayed out right now, but if I wanted to save an online version as private, I could do that as long as we had a connection, and then I could make 1,000 local copies, and my online version would still be saved online, and I could still always go back to that version. So when the game is in full launch, it's going to be really important to save copies online when you have a really important stage of development or something that's just working really well and you want to make sure that you save a copy of that. So that is the basic overview of publishing and genealogy hierarchy and updating creations in Dreams. Stop by dreamsverse.com. Thanks for watching.